It's Thursday. We know what that means.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It
It
is
is.
Reaction Thursday, baby.
It is. It
We
is
got
React Thursday. It is
we got to
React.
talk about Leagues Cup.
Uh
We got to
huh.
talk about Messi.
Uh
Got to
huh.
talk about the last 10 games of MLS season.
Uh huh.
So I'm just excited to be on with you, my man.
All right. So since you mentioned it, we have had our fair bit of chaos. We are down to the final two to determine who gets into the Sweet 16 of the CONCACAF Champions League Hemispheric Extravaganza. And right now, I mean, if I had told you at the beginning of this tournament that Intermessi CF would be at the end of this tournament chasing after this spot, which Jorge _Moss on the X, on the 280 character app, was chasing after, what would you have told me?
I would have told you that you were way too optimistic. I'm going to be very frank. I underestimated how quickly all of these players, including Lionel Messi, were going to adapt, coexist. I had no way of knowing that Tata Martino was just going to move a magic wand and get Robert Taylor to just be a whole new player and just grow game by game. I couldn't have told you that this Inter Miami team was going to score 21 goals in 6 games. So, yeah, I would have told you that you were crazy.
And, it's when you see them, and we can go back to the Philadelphia matchup here and kind of discuss it. When it came to this matchup against Philadelphia, I think going in, we were all kind of sitting there and going, okay, Philly's going to do their thing. They're going to trot out the 4-4-2 diamond. They're going to be, they're going to be a little nasty. They're going to bring the sandpaper to it all. And then Jim Curtin decides he's going to go 3 at the back, out of the blocks, go against type, and then be down a goal after 3 minutes. I mean, this is one of when it comes to tournaments and decision-making, this was one of the all-time oopsies in a key moment that we've seen, I think, in recent memory. You go with the girl that brung you, I would have thought, to the dance, and then you decide, no, I like the homecoming queen. I'm going to ask her out. And then you bring her to the dance, and then she stiffs you, and she's going to go dance with the starting quarterback after 3 minutes. You're just kind of going, man, I should have stuck with my original date.
Yeah, I mean, he overthought it. And I mean, I guess you have to understand that you've never had to game plan against the best player in the planet and all the hype and everything that they've been doing. But I didn't like the game plan. Just like you said, I think Damian Lowe had an atrocious game. I thought that the lineup he put out was very preventive, and I get what he wanted to do. Overpopulate the midfield. We're going to try to make Busquets uncomfortable. We're not going to allow quick transition moments. But he did none of that. He did none of that. And Bueno was almost out of line at times with Martinez and Fletch. It was convoluted. They didn't look like they had any sort of momentum, at least in the first 45 minutes. First 45 minutes were atrocious, right? I mean, yes, you get an early goal in a ball that everyone knew where Martinez was running to, and you still don't anticipate that. Your line is completely flat. You're ball watching. Maybe you're just amazed that you're playing Lionel Messi, and you just forget that Martinez was going to make that run. So that puts you down early. I get it. But this is the team that has been one of the best teams in MLS, right? Most points. He's been a support shield team. They've had all this success. They know each other well. They're well coached. And at the end of the day, after that goal, it was just out of sorts for the rest of the 45 minutes. 3 goals later, you're just down so far behind that you cannot get back up. So I agree with you. I think that the game plan was wrong. I think that he overthought. Jim Curtin did. Overthought what he needed to do, how he was going to approach this game, and never once in those first 45 minutes made Inter Miami defend. which is something that Dallas showed us. If you wanted to get at this team, you gotta anchor back those wing backs. You gotta attack the flanks. You gotta make Busquets have to push back and look his age. But if you're going to allow it in possession, if you're not going to even get close to pressuring Kristoff and have him get all the way to midfield and put a ball behind your back line, then I'm sorry to tell you, but you're just not going to win that game. So second 45 were better. The second half, they got a little bit of momentum back. They got some of that fight, but it was too late, man. It was just too late. Props and credit does go to, like I said, Tata Martino, Inter Miami. They look good. They look like the future champions of this tournament.
And going to the other side, you've got Nashville now. Nashville taking out Monterrey. Nashville taking out Club America in one of the craziest games, I think, in recent memory, where it's saved, then you have chaos, then you come in with VAR, and it's like, no, dude's off his line. We've got to redo it. Converted the second time through. Miss as Jonah Dos Santos comes off the crossbar. Then you have Daniel Lovitz convert. They get past Club America in one of the crazier environments, 18 arrests and a non-contact injury from one of the security folks in all of this. Then you end up with a match against Monterrey where, and we've been getting into this discussion this morning with Bart Keeler from Soccer for US POD, because he does reffing, and we have our reffing down here segment, where VAR comes into play not once but twice, or at least you would have thought it would have come in once or twice. You get a goal disallowed. Hani Mukhtar goes on the gram or the IG or whatever the kids call it, and he says it's one of the worst calls that he's ever experienced. Please explain it to me. Then Lucas McNaughton, you think is going to be a penalty. It goes to VAR. Shots right there in front of you. And McNaughton, it's like he comes right over the leg of the player from Monterrey, goes to VAR, and they're like, nah. What in the wide world of sports is going on with VAR and AVARs in this tournament? It's something they got to go back to VAR school, man, before we do this again next year.
As someone who was never in the fan bus for VAR, I've always been against it, and now I've learned to like and understand a lot of the good things that come with VAR. Mm-hmm. But as someone that was skeptical, all in all, knowing, understanding it, that at the end of the day, a human being, a referee with an ego, with his own two eyes, his own brain, was going to make that final decision. VAR is supposed to just assist the referee see it differently. But if the ref don't want to see it, then he ain't going to see it. And that's what you saw in this game. I thought that the obstruction offside was outrageous. The keeper was already diving. So I would understand if the keeper was standing his line and he was shook, if he was faked out by I forgot who's the person that jumped, tried to header that ball. Then maybe I'm thinking, okay.
Yeah, Alex Mouil.
Yeah, Alex Mouil, exactly. So had he maybe made it difficult for the keeper to say, I'm going to go one way or the other, maybe I'd be okay with it. But the keeper's already diving. There's no obstruction. He sees the ball. So I don't get it. The PK, exactly the same thing. So these are the things that we need to improve in soccer overall, because we're not just going to blame Leagues Cup. It's not just this. We have questionable calls all over every tournament, VAR. So you're right. I think that something has to be done, specifically with the refereeing, and maybe there is a way that it's not going to happen. I'm just talking nonsense here. I was going to say if there was a way that it could be overruled by those watching it in video, but it's not going to happen, man. So all in all, we just got to do better. Yes, VAR's cool. Yes, referee's cool. This is the international tournament. It was just a bad look overall.
All right. So Nashville and Inter Messi CF. Let me go to the juice boxes. I've got to see the juice boxes in this. I want to get this all laid out here for the final. Inter Messi CF is a -105 on the road at Nashville. Nashville is a +241. Your 90-minute draw is a +274. The Union, by the way, are favored in the third place match at a minus 122, which I find interesting. But I look at these two matches and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Intermessi CF not touching it. You're on the minus side, not going there. I'll take that one. But it's going to be interesting because of what Nashville does. They wait to pounce. They get you in transition and they're clinical. You mentioned what we saw in the Nashville-Dallas match where Dallas used Velasco and the speed on the wings to get after DeAndre Yedlin, to get after Sergei Krivtsov, to get after Kamal Miller, to get after Damian Lowe. And I don't know, Gary Smith isn't built for speed. And you also may not have a full 100% Jacob Schaffelberg in this one. So there's a lot of mounting up against you if you're Gary Smith trying to figure out how to go up against Messi and Alba and Busquets chasing after a title.
Yeah, it's difficult. I might throw some juices in the back of the fridge at that one, to be quite honest, just because the odds are kind of nice. But I'm with you. I'm with you. Schaffelberg has been so important. He's been the perfect companion for Hani Mukhtar. Not to take anything away from Sam, who I think I got it wrong. I didn't think he was going to have that immediate impact, to be quite frank. But he's been very good. He's been very good. I could see him starting this game as well. I thought his soccer IQ was kind of shown. It was displayed well. So it's not just the scoring abilities, but the way he's holding the ball, the way he's helping on link up play. All these things were, I think, in showcase, and I'm starting to see it. So I could see a scenario where Serge starts this game and maybe makes this national team a little bit more aggressive right off the bat. But Schaffelberg, he's been important. And no knock to Fafa. Fafa does a lot of things well, and that goal was all desire, all want, a little bit of luck on the side. And I'm talking about not just the ball bouncing back, but that shot is ill-advised at the very best. I mean, he's got no angle. He's got I think it's Sam Serge who's asking for the ball right inside the 18. Nobody's on him. All he has to do is pass that ball. I'm watching this play and I'm like, pass the ball. And he knocks it in. So good for Fafa, but he's not Schaffelberg. So with that said, can Fafa maybe stretch out that Inter Miami defense? Can he be that guy down on the flanks, put in a lot of speed? I mean, you saw the way that Nashville, after 70 minutes, they really got this Monterrey defense tired. And they did it by pushing the ball wide. A lot of it was Schaffelberg, but then when Fafa came in, he noticed, hey, and he says it after the game. He says, I knew that the defender didn't want to make that run. He was tired. So I'm going to take him. I'm going to push him. I'm going to pressure him. And I'm going to go for that ball. So can Nashville do that? Can Godoy do what Brujo Martinez did not do? Brujo Martinez had an off game too. He was more worried about trying to get in people's faces and trying to dirty and muddy the waters than he did about playing soccer, man. So can Godoy, Panamanian cap, this man that he's a battle horse, can he do a little bit more on pressuring Busquets, on playing better soccer, on allowing this Gary Smith structure to maybe take away that tempo that Inter Miami tries? So if you can rub-a-dope a little bit and maybe just allow yourself to get Inter Miami closer, drop their guard, and you can push up on a quick counter, get a goal, and then you're going to park the bus. That's all very possible. But you still have to not allow the magician, the hero, the Superman who is right now Lionel Messi from impacting the game. So it's going to be a good one. It's going to be interesting. I think Shamor and Lowitz are going to be important in this one as well. You talked about pushing the flank. I think they're underlapping and overlapping specifically and very systematical, can help out this team, create a little width. So it's going to be a good one. I don't take it past Nashville to make this game a little boring, a little hard to watch, but end up either winning this game in the 90 minutes or in PKs. Now, I'm not saying that Miami is not favorite. Of course they are. They're favored in every single way. But I would not mind putting a little juice boxes on Nashville just because the odds are so good.
And then Philadelphia having to turn around and face a Monterrey team that will have been on the road for 3 solid weeks. Monterrey, do they have anything left in the tank for a Philadelphia team that you know is going to want to muck it up and dirty it up and slow things down and push you and shove you and knock you off your pins? Do you think they have anything left?
Yeah, absolutely. And I am surprised that they're the underdogs in this one, especially if there's something that we've seen out of the Union is that when they Cruz Azulear a semifinal or or a final, because they do it just as good as Cruz Azul did at one point. They really fall behind, ears get droopy, get down in their game. So I could see Monterrey, who had a lot of fighting against Nashville, winning this one. I mean, Panico was good. I thought defensively Zimmerman was immaculate. But all in all, Monterrey had their moments. Funes Mori needs to do a little bit more, right? Rogelio, someone that they really miss. Bertamer, their previous attacker, the one that killed the Sounders here, and I think had a hat trick and an assist. They really miss him. But I think with what they've shown so far, Canales, he was very mid too against Nashville. He needs to do a little bit more. Romo needs to be more aggressive, a bigger attacker. But I really do think that because the Union fell flat on their face, and Monterrey still has some fight, still has the desire to get in here and show Liga MX, because that's what they have. They're repping Liga MX. I think they're going to have more desire than Philadelphia Union. Now, Philadelphia has a little bit more to lose now, right? Because if they win, they get a spot in the CONCACAF Cup. No CCL anymore. CONCACAF Cup. And Monterrey they already have a spot.
Yep.
So if Monterrey is to win this game, it would actually be León as the best Liga MX team who would take that spot. So can maybe Philadelphia use that to their advantage and give me some of that fight they didn't show against Miami? Perhaps. But I think Monterrey would be the team I would choose for this game.
All right, business end of the schedule in Major League Soccer. Halftime with Niko Moreno at Sports Pulso and at the Soccer Bar at El Rolo and W on the 280-character app, or as we've started to refer to it as, you know, we had to kind of think of something cute. So what did we do? We decided to start quoting ZZ Top when it comes to hearing things on the 280-character app. There you go. So you hear it on the X. You hear it on the X, or maybe you're like Shawn Michaels and Triple H. You know. So business end of the schedule for everybody but a couple of teams this weekend, and we've got Hella's Real, NYC Minnesota United, Red Bulls DC United, the Old Atlantic Cup. You've got Canadian Classique with Toronto and CF Montreal. And I'm going to reserve a Toronto point here in a second. Chicago, Orlando, Houston, Portland, St. Louis. We got all caps hosting Austin, LAFC, and Colorado. LAG and RSL, a sneaky good matchup. Mm-hmm. Seattle and Atlanta, and I know we'll spend some time with that because Mike and Jason are heading your way to call the match there at Lumen, and Vancouver and San Jose. But from the business end of the schedule, which one of these matchups are you looking forward to seeing the most outside of catching up with Mike and Jason at Lumen for Seattle and Atlanta?
The St. Louis Austin is interesting. There were some cloud sightings at training, so interesting to see where he's at. Don't know if he'll start this one, but St. Louis City, who missed a hell of an opportunity to do more in Leagues Cup, has the opportunity to just focus on MLS play, maybe try to get that momentum back. Austin, also a lot of changes, a team that was trending in the right direction, but I think made a hell of a bad decision letting Fagundes go. So I'm interested to see how that plays out for Austin in general. Orlando City, Chicago is another good one. Uh, Papi, Oscar Pereja hasn't. He's in a contract year. He needs to show something in order to get that contract extension. This is a good team. This is not a bad team, but they struggle to be consistent. They struggle to win despite all of this massive talent. So that's what I'm looking at. Chicago, on the other hand, once the manager came on, they played a lot better. Shaqiri's playing great. They showed what they could do here in League's Cup, staying a little bit and punching above their weight class, if you ask me. So that's an interesting one for me. LA Galaxy RSL, another good one for me, just because RSL was another team that just got pounded despite all this talent. Can they come in here against LA Galaxy, who they also added a couple of pieces? And that's one I want to watch in terms of how LA is going to come in and approach this game, and how RSL is going to continue to try to overwhelm teams with that attacking power. So that's a good one. And of course, we'll talk about Atlanta Sounders a little bit later. But those are the games I'm looking at in general senses.
Toronto, there's talk. Joshua Cloakey at The Athletic was mentioning that Toronto is looking for guys to fill in their coaching vacancy. And it sounds like that they're looking for two separate dudes because they are hopefully learning the lesson of what about Bob. John Herdman's name was mentioned. John Herdman's like, yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, we're having talks. John Herdman? John Herdman, the Canadian men's national team coach, who I think just changed his philosophy again now that we've changed days and his alarm went off. John Herdman for Toronto FC? Say it ain't so.
That's a terrible call. I mean, it's a terrible call in terms of someone who has the experience to deal with egos, to try to figure out what he's going to do with the little talent that you have in that squad. Someone who, like you said, changes philosophy or seems to be changing philosophy like he changes socks. I don't know, man. I really don't think that that's the right way to go. Toronto is in a disarray, period. And I don't think it really matters who they bring in until the front office issues get resolved, man. And so it goes with the rest of the story. He fits in the displaced items or the lost and found. Sure, let's put him in there and see what he can do. But it's not going to change how bad this team is and how they're going to face the last 10 games of the season. All you're doing is seeing who in this roster is going to be good enough to keep for 2024. That's it, plain and simple.
All right, let's break down Atlanta and Seattle, and it is two teams that have some business to take care of to solidify spots and figure out where they're going to be. Juice boxes in this one. Seattle favored at a -111. Obviously, we know that it's difficult for teams to win on the road in Major League Soccer. Draws a +262, and Atlanta United's a +295 right now on the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. The way things stand right now, Seattle fourth in the West, 36 points, part of that gaggle that is right there. LAFC, RSL at 37, Seattle at 36, Austin ahead of San Jose on goal difference at 32 points. Basically, it's 5 teams separated by 5 points. Vancouver's right behind them at number 7 at 31. FC Dallas is at 30. Houston's at 29. So there's no real margin for error for folks that Seattle's looking over their shoulder at when you look at this matchup against Atlanta, when you've got a team in Atlanta right now, 7th in a crazy Eastern Conference where a win could get them as high as 4th at the end of the day. What are you staring at?
I think it's going to be a good game. I was talking to Brian Smetzer this week about these are two hungry teams. These are two teams that need a win, that need to get away from bad results, recent bad results. Obviously, they know each other well. Gonzalo, Brian. This Sounders team is trying to figure out how they can adjust to the last 10 games so they can play as good as they did in the first 5 games of this season. They're getting some soldiers back. Christian Roldan will feature, according to Brian Smetzer. It's fantastic news. Still makes me nervous about the concussion It's been so long. It's been so prolonged. Regardless of him being cleared, I think they're going to be very careful with him. Javier Arriaga, another player that they'll get back. It helps the depth of the team in general. But this is going to be a really good game. And it's going to depend on that attacking power. Can Raul Ruiz build the fire? Can he get that fire back from being that elite striker that he was a couple of years back? There was a inner squad this weekend. He scored 3 goals. He sounds like he is just chomping at the bit to get back out there and score some goals on an official game. So it's going to be interesting. But at the end of the day, I want you to give me the numbers on the draw, because I could almost guarantee you that whether it's a 1-1 or a 2-2, this game is going to be a draw. I just have a feeling about it, and I go with my gut on some of these. So I think this is going to be a draw, but it should be a fun game. I think the Sounders with their midfield can create a lot of difficult moments for Atlanta, and Atlanta with their, at times, fluid play and talented Thiago Almada and Gigi, which I'm guessing he'll be back. I think they can create some problems for Seattle. That's why I think we're going to see a draw, but it could be a 2-2, 1-1 type of game.
All right, so the draw is a plus 262 in the composite, and since you mentioned 2-2, we'll go ahead and check the numbers. We'll check totals. We'll see what you're staring at here. Since you said 2-2, over under at 3.5 is a plus 217. So 2.5 is a minus 112. 3.5 is a plus 217. So that's your over right there. So my guess is you're going to go, if you were to have multiple juice boxes in different categories, you're going draw and you're going over, correct?
I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that you're going to see, like I said, a very fun game, entertaining, but fans are not going to be happy with a draw on either side. I don't think. I can tell you for a fact that Sounder fans are not going to be excited about getting a draw. Atlanta fans, I'm not so sure, but this is 2 teams that they really had the desire to win, and I could see them maybe being a little bit more of a gambling and maybe trying a little more things in this one, not playing as safe. So that's what I'm saying. I got a big feeling that this is going to be one of those games. Uh-oh.
Vlatko Andonovski officially out. He is resigned as the national team head coach. Quote, "It's been the honor of my life to coach the talented, hardworking players of the USWNT for the past 4 years. I'm very optimistic for the future of this program, especially considering all the young players that got opportunities over the past few years who will no doubt be leaders and impact players moving forward." So it is officially official. Vlatko is Vlat gone. So that
one was written in stone. No, I mean that was kind of an obvious move, and you might as well just walk out before they walk you out. So yeah, it's more than understanding after the debacle that was the U.S. women's national team in the World Cup. Colombia also fell, man. I wanted it so bad, man. They got up early to watch that England game, and they just couldn't do it. But good for the Colombian women. They did a fantastic job representing, for sure.
What is going on at the Soccer Bar and at Pulso Sports? Cut the promo for me.
All righty, Soccer Bar. We're going to be breaking down some of this League Cup semifinals. We're going to obviously talk about the big final. That's going to happen here at 1 p.m. We might have Jorge Armando from DT USA talking to us about Miami. In Pulso, you can go ahead and find, we got Yemar Gomez Andrade talking about how this team is going to restart. We have Paul Rothrock, recently signed as a Tacoma Defiance player onto the Seattle Sounders. Great kid, great story. Talks about the first person he called with his dad, and his dad was his biggest fan. And His dad at one point was trying to email Liverpool to get him out there. I mean, it was just such a great story. A guy that's really fought hard to get where he's at, and I think he's a player that it's interesting. A lot of fire, a lot of desire, high motor kid. So definitely check that out at Pulso. We also have a little bit of NFL if you're interested in that. I don't know if this is the place to look at it, but we got a couple of Seattle Seahawk interviews. Easop Winston, WSU receiver. We talked to him this week, so check that out as well.
The man who's loose on the Palouse. I know how this works. Besides, it's football and it's football. It's universal. We work at that.
It's my first love, and then the mistress. Soccer, first love.
It's right there with
NFL
you,
is right there.
So if you would please give your best to Mike and Jason when you see them on Sunday afternoon. They're at Lumen. You'll be the chance to catch up with them. And it'll be good for the three of you to break bread and see each other. Really looking.
Jason picks up my phone calls, man. See, I gotta make sure that he Hollywood now. He over there doing the big timers now. John still invites me. Jason, man, come on, where are you at, Jason?
Jason's a busy man. He's attending practices at the same time that the show is going on. He's got to get smart. He's got to be up there at the Niko level of smartness, especially after X number of cups of coffee. As always,
but yeah, tell him I'll be there. I'll say hi. I'll come over to the booth, say hello to him for sure.